As the final buzzer sounded on the Pistons' 2023 season, two die-hard fans, Mickey and Harry, each passed out and witnessed a vision. They were visited by Detroit's very own mascot, Hooper, the stallion ablaze, who told them the only way the Pistons would ever win a championship again was if these two men started a podcast. To be clear, they said, do we really have to do this? I mean, aren't there enough Pistons podcasts already? It seems like this might be overkill. But Hooper dunked on them, right in their face, and said, your team needs you. He presented them with a prophecy. Now it is their duty to help Detroit rise again and become champions. The Order of the Blazing Horse. Welcome to another episode of Order of the Blazing Horse. I am one. Oh, it's the only Detroit Pistons podcast based on a mystical prophecy. I am Harry Morrows, one of your prophets, joined as always by the man with the fingers,
Mickey Jacobs. What's going on, Harry? Are you still licking your wounds after back-to-back Dagger losses to the Hawks and Caps?
I am. I'm feeling terrible about it, but I also feel terrible that I didn't go into the three-person thing that we're doing here because we have a guest, special guest. He's getting the big transition. CJ Toledano in the house. You might know him from the follow-through media production stuff. They've got great gear, which I'm rocking right now, by the way.
Hell yeah.
Had to get it. Got the Uncle Drew on there and they and several others. Teen Wolf, Air Bud. And Grandmama, my favorite of all of them. I love Grandmama. You might know him from the Point Game podcast with John Wall. What? You might know him from the Co-Captains podcast, brand new with Megan Gailey. CJ, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. I just up top, I wouldn't say the Pistons are my favorite team, but they're like part of my life. I ride hard for Detroit. Everyone I know from Detroit is like the best person in the world. So, yeah, it's like they should be my favorite team based on all those things. But I just have so much love for Detroit.
Well, I mean, you worked for the Pistons. We'll get into that in like a little bit. Yep. I appreciate all the love that you got for Detroit. I know some people from Detroit who suck, but most of the people I know are pretty fucking good.
Don't introduce them to me.
I don't have to talk about that.
I've been referred to as a scumbag, as a scallywag, a ne'er-do-well, if you were. But, okay, so before we get into any more, Mickey, how are you doing, man? Are you over these two losses?
I am. I think the one little silver lining to all this is we got our backup point guard.
Heck yeah. We had somebody who I didn't even think was going to be, like, available on it, because when he went to Golden State, I was like, okay, that's the end of that. No big deal. And I would have liked him because Dennis was balling out. It's about time Detroit had another Dennis. CJ, can you name the last Dennis in Detroit?
The last Dennis in Detroit? Oh, I'm going to probably kick myself for not knowing. It's not that far back, is it?
I think it's that far back. Is it not?
Is it Rodman?
I think it's Rodman.
Really?
Oh,
That's
wow.
crazy.
You guys, this is disrespectful to Pistons legend Dennis Smith Jr.
Oh my God!
I forgot.
Wow.
Oh no!
Wow, you guys.
My bad, man. I kind of blacked out that whole time period.
That's fair.
How long was he on the team for?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
I don't know, maybe a season. It was in the Weaver haze.
I do feel like, DSJ, Dennis Smith Jr., like, he's only been doing, like, stints everywhere. I couldn't, and man, I've been as locked in to NBA basketball more than ever. The last few weeks, I couldn't tell you if he's on a team right now.
I think people wanted him back on the Pistons, right? I think he's overseas.
Okay.
And that he's locked in overseas. And maybe that's why I overlooked him, is because so many people were talking about him coming back to the Pistons or being on the Pistons. And I was like, I don't know. Oh, am I muted? No. Sorry, I was just checking your audio thing. It seems to be good. We're all great. So many technical things to take care of here. Okay, so for those who don't know, if you haven't been watching, CJ, I don't think you saw the game because you're not a Pistons fan.
I forgot I did see the last play.
Okay, so Darius?
Which one?
Wait, so what'd you say?
The Darius
Which
one.
last play? There
Yes,
have been
the
two.
the game winner for the Cavs. And again, I also have a lot of Cleveland friends, and so I was texting them. I was like, there was like multiple angles as there are with a lot of game winners, and I was like, this is cold. But then I also was like, it would have been an incredible Pistons win. Because the Pistons they're competing this year, which I'm sure you guys have been talking about that a lot. But it's also like a victory to be hanging in there with such a good team.
It's
So
dude,
yeah, I wouldn't be just up too much.
what's nuts about it is like they do this thing where they crawl back nonstop. Like they're in every game and they do it with one all-star. And Cleveland has three. Like
Yeah.
only two played, but they're still loaded. They almost had four. If you want to make the case for Jared Allen on that team, like they're loaded. And when they play against like Phoenix is a mess, or like Orlando. All these teams, they have multiple all stars, multiple superstar guys, and Cade's kind of doing it all. And part of that is because they have great teamwork. And yeah, the last two, I mean, the Ice Trae Dagger sucked. Like he was guarded really well. That was another one they lost like in the final seconds of another Cade monster game. The Darius Garland, two 6'1" dudes just stabbed Detroit in the ribs. So Detroit said, "F that. We're gonna go out and we're gonna get us a 6'1" dude," and they got Dennis Schroder. I looked up how to say his name.
There you go. Ooh, good. Fraulein style, yeah.
Oh yeah, Fraulein on the front line. What I love about getting Dennis though is like he went out for 3 seconds. We got him for 1 second while acquiring more seconds. And outside of Wendell Moore Jr., who had to get waived, shout out to Wendell. Very serviceable player. Loved his minutes when he was here. Much respect to him. He seems like a great guy. But the team didn't have to like break up any of their chemistry. There's no big team shift. CJ, you follow a different team. How does that team shift feel? And how did you react when you heard about it all?
I'm still reacting. It still doesn't feel real. I mean, I'm like, yeah, it'll feel real, I guess, when he actually plays on Saturday, which they're saying is going to happen.
Will you fill the listeners in so they know who you're following, who's your team, how long they've been your team? You can tell them how long it's been, right?
What now? It's been 7 years. I went, the Los Angeles Lakers, who got Luka Doncic, and I mean, like I haven't fully processed it because, I started saying the Lakers are my team and really rooting for them when LeBron came. I became just like a guy who was following LeBron after the Jordan Bulls era. And so that made me, a Cavs fan. Actually, I was out on the Heat years. I was a Bulls guy again, and then I became a Cavs guy. And then, I was like, I live in LA, starting a family here in LA. I'm a Lakers fan. And so I've been, we won that 2020 championship in the bubble. However,
no asterisk, fully official.
No asterisk. But there's been some trying years and just ridiculous drama, and I was like, I deserve this. I deserve to. We need some really down years. Like I'm down for it. Like this is what being a front runner deserves. I need to feel the punishment. And so and like we've actually been having some good wins this year. We were in 5th place before this trade, and I was just like, I am down to just celebrate mediocrity. And like a team that is like a piece away or 2 pieces away. And when that trade happened, yes, on paper was I immediately like, oh, we're champions? No, but I'm like, holy shit, we're going to be relevant and we're going to have this major, attractive superstar that will bring on other, because I think like the league doesn't want to join LeBron anymore. Even if he played for another 6 years, which I just feel like younger players that actually make a difference didn't want to join LeBron. And so now that Luka's there, and a lot of places are saying this, like the team doesn't have to bow down to LeBron anymore. They kind of like got their team back by getting Luka Doncic, and it's just still insane how it all happened, and I still don't really believe it. And then last night they went and got Mark Williams, which, be fully honest, didn't really watch Mark Williams that much, and have been convinced in the last 24 hours, oh man, they're competing this year for a title. So it's just been really crazy. No, you don't like Mark Williams?
Here's my report
Yeah.
on Mark Williams. One, he's never available. Like I just don't
Yeah.
believe in
Like, 8
injury prone
games.
players.
Yeah.
Even more so than in the NFL. Like in the NBA, if you're oft injured, I ain't interested at all. I just don't expect you to be there, and like they don't have center depth really outside of him. And no shade to Mark Williams, his defense sucks. Like it's bad.
Yeah.
So like now you have a team that has LeBron who doesn't play defense really,
Yeah.
Doncic who notoriously doesn't play defense,
Yeah.
and Mark Williams who's a bad defender. I feel like having watched the Pistons last year, it's so important to have at least 4 people playing defense at any given
Yes.
time. And
Yeah.
they've got 3 dudes who don't. It'll be fun to watch because like they're all exciting and offense galore. And like DFS is pretty good. Who would be their 4th starter at this point?
Austin Reeves.
Austin. Oh yeah.
But he was extreme defensive liability. He's just such a hustle guy that he will dive on the floor. Like he will, get a steal here or there. But you're right, and I think we're all just counting on them scoring 190 points a game.
For sure.
Which
It'll be
is,
fun. It'll be fun. Okay, I wanted to play this real quick. For everybody here, what was your initial reaction as soon as you saw the report? What was the thing that you thought?
So I was in a text thread with a bunch of people I've worked with in sports, and one of the people in there was this dude Omar Raja, who runs like Sports Center and is friends with Shams. And so I'm just laying in bed on a Saturday night, and the text message that I get in that group is, "Hey, did your boy get hacked?" And I was like, what are they talking about? And then Omar says, "No, it's real." And so when Omar responded, I was like, something must have happened. And I have notifications on for Shams. I have no idea why it didn't go through, but I went and I clicked on it and I saw the trade, and I dropped my phone. I said, "Oh my God." Like just like an "oh my God," which we talked about on my other podcast with my wife. My wife hates me yelling "oh my God" because in times like these, bad shit is actually happening that warrant an "oh my God." Usually, it can mean like someone just died, and I yelled "oh my God," and I ran downstairs. My wife was hanging out with her friend, and I was like, the craziest trade in sports just happened. And yeah, it's been surreal ever since.
Did Megan hear about it and say, "Oh my God," as well?
So she went, "Wow!" Like, and usually she'd be like, "Don't tell me about, Marcel Huertas, re-signing with the South Bay Lakers." Like that's usually the "oh my God" that I give, which has caused her to be annoyed by it. But she was like, "That is kind of crazy," and then her friend was like, "Oh wow," and then they kind of went back to it, and then apparently the next day her friend texted Megan and said, "We didn't give CJ enough attention to that. Oh my God, that's pretty crazy." So that's how crazy it was.
Mickey, what was your reaction?
Just no. just no. Like it's not fair. Like the Lakers were up against it, and I feel like this just happens for the Lakers. I remember a few years ago the deadline where they got Vanderbilt and whoever else for just like nothing. And I'm like, why is the league doing this? Why are they letting them do this? And I feel like Lakers fans were all over Pelinka, and then he just pulled Luka Magic out of a hat. And what was so astounding to me too is the return. Like obviously AD's a great player, but like 1 pick, and I actually like Max Christie, by the way, but
love Max
still.
when you look at the Mark Williams return and you look at like the Luka return, it's insane that like that you could make a case that the Mark Williams return is more valuable. Honestly, I think AD is by far like the best piece of that, and it does give Dallas like a chance. I love AD. He's an incredible. Basketball player. Yeah. When you said that people were all over Rob Pelinka, the only thing they should be all over him for right now is that friggin' jacket he was wearing in the press conference. My God, man. That was a real Forever 21 look he had going on.
Yeah.
Like, sure, you're in LA, that's cool, but like, to each their own.
It's called fashion, Harry.
Yeah, I suppose. I was asleep when it happened out on in the Midwest. And my wife woke me up because I was snoring so loudly. So I rolled over and I looked at my phone and I inhaled a snore because I freaked out at what I saw. Because this is no shade toward you either, but like I hate the Lakers. Out of all the NBA teams, I hate them. And I hate that they keep getting good stuff. I hated them since Shaq and Kobe. Like back when I was watching there, and I'll admit that's 100% jealousy because Kobe was like 2 years younger or older than me, and in the NBA, and I was like, "Fuck this dude, man!" It's so mad.
Oh, you weren't jealous of the Lakers; you were jealous of Kobe's skill set.
Correct. But it transferred to the Lakers, and I hate their color scheme because I love purple, and I don't like the way it looks with that purple and yellow. It's just me. That's part of why I love the Kings. Kings have a great purple and black collection. It's for me. But like, while I was saying that I don't think they'll be title contenders this year, they're set for the future. Just an incredible pickup, an incredible restoration of a franchise that, in all honesty, it really helps if the NBA has going in a good place.
Yeah, no, and I felt like those years were over where teams were going to help the Lakers, and I think, again, that just added to the shock of this all, of like, yeah, why should we help the Lakers? Why should we help LeBron? Like, it's time, like, for parity in this league, and we were seeing it with teams like, the Cavs being at the top of the East, or OKC. And I feel like everyone was feeling like that was great. Like, we were enjoying it. Like, the new stars are here. And I think we're forgetting that Luka is one of the newer stars, but like, we've been watching him play since he was a teenager. He was incredible right out the gate. And then the fact that, and he was on this, and people are thinking like Dallas is a small market. It's actually a pretty large market, but it was still a city that didn't have rich sports history like New York or like LA. And, I think people were down. Like, I remember seeing the Mavs make the finals last year, and I was like, that'd be awesome if they got another one. And they got one with a player that they drafted.
Yeah.
But
well, kind of
that's what made me feel. Another layer of this whole thing is I do feel guilty about it.
But you shouldn't feel guilty because you've been on record saying that you love stars. Like, you follow the star. You don't even have like a home team, so that's cool. You were with Jordan, then with LeBron. Does Luka qualify? Is there like a star in the league right now that is like your favorite if you're like waning off of LeBron?
I mean, I love SGA. I love Anthony Edwards. But again, like, honestly, I only probably sit down and watch, like, I would say 8 to 10 of those guys' games. It's so hard as like a dad and trying to like keep work going, like, to truly follow the stars like I used to. Like, what happened was actually the reason why I really like doubled down into being a guy who like watched stars is that I only watched Jordan and the Bulls in the 90s. And when he retired, I was sort of lost. And then I found myself, like, there was Iverson, there was Tim Duncan and KG. And then I saw like a documentary on the Knicks, and I saw how like the Knicks got so close and Ewing got like a finger roll close to like breaking the curse. And I was like, there's so many cool players and cool stories. And it kind of like applied to like how I, found an interest in my current job. But like, I love just seeing, a lot of these players' stories. And that the early 2000s, mid 2000s NBA generation of stars, I like love so much. And I'm like, I'm trying to experience the whole league, and I'm not trying to. And I also hated LeBron during the Heat years that I was like, why am I robbing myself of great basketball because I have such loyalty, to a certain team or a player? Like, I want to watch as much basketball as possible. I'm like, but, so I'm a fan of so many different players. But, like, LeBron is still my guy, and the Lakers are my team because this is home.
What did you do during those Heat years? Who did you follow, or did you just take a break?
The D Rose Bulls, because I was living in Chicago. And I remember when I got into comedy, I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but, like, getting into comedy in the mid 2000s and like late 2000s, it was like there were no comedians who like outwardly loved sports. And so I was like pretending to not like sports when I moved to Chicago. And then my buddy, who's a Mavs fan and who I called that night, we became friends, and we were like, oh my God, Bulls tickets are $9. And so we used to go to all these Bulls games, and it was Derrick Rose's rookie year. And so we were watching those, like, oh, this guy's pretty good. And then
Pretty good.
yeah, and then that first round series against the Celtics, that was just like one of the most legendary playoff series of all time, where they went back and forth. And so I was a D Rose Bulls guy, and it was great to be a fan of him because they were like the one team that were like threatening to like beat that Heat team in the East. But yeah, they were just too good.
I can really relate on the comedy and sports thing because when I was living in Michigan doing comedy, not many sports people at all, and that's all Michigan was about for the most part. So I had friends who were into sports, and I had friends who did comedy, and it wasn't like a mixture of the two. And then in LA, I didn't know who to talk to about it, and sports had been like such a huge part of my personality always. You know, like I tried out for Michigan State's team. I thought I was going pro in the NBA, and then you get to LA and it's like, I don't know anybody who I can talk to about like any of this at all. I don't even know how we hooked up really, and just started playing basketball together. But when I started playing at San Fernando and then in that league with you guys, then I was like, I was missing this for like the first 7 years I was here, and then I fucking dipped.
It's just I see my basketball friends more than my comedian friends these days. Like, you know, as a dad and a husband, I get like a couple nights a week where it's like I'm going out, and I do that to play on that San Fernando's team. And now we're in the Burbank League, and Harry, like, the team is like, we take that shit seriously now. I mean, we were taking it seriously back then. Salvation Army was playing there, and yeah, man, it's just like sports it's cool. I feel like everyone's at the same playing level. Everyone's not trying to get hurt for the most part, even though some of us do. And it's just, you know, comedy has also changed so much. And sports is still like such a fun thing to like unite us and bond over and just talk about and forget about the bad shit that's going on. So
CJ, when you're playing in your league, who would you compare your play styles to? One NBA player, past or present?
Oh man, this is embarrassing because then you're like, you can't compare yourself to Kyrie.
Style. You know, we'll keep it loose. We're not saying you same skill level.
I've got your style. I could do yours. I want to see if it matches up with who you're going to say.
Oh man, Harry, I'm trying to remember what I was playing like because it's changed. You know what? It probably is like it's right now. It's an Al Jefferson. Maybe like current era Kevin Love. It's very just
stretch
like,
big.
Yeah. And it's not because I feel like that's efficient. I feel like that's because I can barely move these days.
When we were playing together, you were giving a very Van Vliet to me. Guarding.
That's really nice.
Powerful.
That's really nice.
You're welcome. I liked playing
Floor
with you,
general.
Oh yeah, dude, it's always been fun to play with you. I remember when you got on that jump program, and I was like, do I need to get on that?
You didn't. It ruined my life. For those who don't know, I trained to dunk until I was 39 years old, and I've had knee problems for the last 5 years because of it. Shout out to ATG, Knees Over Toes guy, for like fixing that completely.
Wait, so that's real?
Yeah,
that program?
100%. We'll talk post show. But
okay,
yeah,
great.
it's 100% real.
I've been catching his YouTube videos. Okay, awesome.
Mickey, you did not play basketball, but
Never played. I'm a observer.
You're an observer,
a
but you're
a spectator.
You're a water polo guy. If you were to compare your water polo
JV
play,
water polo guy, Harry.
Whatever. If you were to compare your water polo play to an NBA player, what would it be?
Oh, I don't know. I can't name a single water polo player, which shameful. But you know, what I lack in skill or athleticism, I make up for in intangibles. That's more my thing.
Okay, so you're a Ron Holland guy.
Yeah, scrappy. You know, good bench guy, good locker room guy. It's more vibes than anything.
Great taste in music. Young, killing it.
Thank you. I'll take it. Yeah. Give me the aux. I don't know about the rock.
All right, CJ, our chat wants to know these are two questions that I have posed. One, are you trying to change the negative stigma around the word bandwagon fan? Because you seem pretty proud of it. And two,
wow. Passive aggressive as hell.
I've just been media trained in it. I'm not proud of it. I'm embarrassed. My own wife, who I married, makes fun of me for it every day. So no. I deserve, like I said, I deserve every punishment. And like when people are like, it must be nice. I don't love it, but I mean, I do love it.
You obviously love it. I think it's totally fine. Like,
I would love it if it
Yeah.
was.
why? I mean, honestly, why not? I get like loyalty to like your city and your place, but like if you move around a lot and if you respect the game, like it's not like I wasn't a fan of other players other than Pistons players. Like my favorite guys were Jason Williams, Vince Carter, Allen Iverson, Ray Allen. Those are probably like, and Sheed. Like those are my top 5 NBA players ever, and only one of them is a Piston, and not even that long of a Piston. You know, so it is what it is. But okay, so the second question, speaking of the Pistons, is do you have any interest in hopping on the Pistons bandwagon or the Cade Cunningham bandwagon? Have you seen enough?
Yeah, I mean, actually, I've always loved Cade, but I love Jaden Ivey. My wife went to Purdue, and so I was watching Jaden Ivey in the tournament, and I was like, this guy's awesome. Like, and my wife, she's also a Colts fan, and like, and when we first started dating, she was a Pacers fan when they weren't very good. And so to find a guy like Jaden, I was like, this guy is awesome. And then I heard his story about his mom. She's like a basketball legend. And like there was an opportunity, or I saw an opportunity where the Pacers could have traded up to get Jaden, or like, it was like a pick away. And they didn't go for it. And I was like, this guy is still so cool. And I to tune in and like his rookie year to watch games, and he wasn't getting much playing time. I was like, what's going on here? And then I just loved the story of him this season, and was just so heartbroken when I saw what had happened. But yes, I love Cade, but I also want, Jaden is like a household favorite for us. And I just, the Pistons, to me, Detroit sports being good is good for the world.
Yes. Thank you. We preach it constantly. Detroit is a huge sports market, and people act like it's not. It's crazy.
It's really crazy. It's really crazy to not act that way. And I lived in Cass Corridor, close to downtown. And so I was like, I chose to live there because I wanted to experience Detroit, even though I was driving out to the Palace out in Auburn Hills. And so when they moved when they built Little Caesars Arena, I was like, this is great. Because like so many cool bars and restaurants were opening up down there, and like stores and stuff. And I just love downtown, and I haven't been back since the arena's there, but it just is like, it just Detroit being good at sports is awesome. And found myself rooting for the Lions here and there this season as well. So yeah, I'm happy for you guys. Like I think I was like texting you, Harry. I was like, it's a bummer that they were on such a bad losing streak last year. Like, I just feel like they didn't deserve us. And I don't know fully what has come out about Monty, but he's had a tough life.
That's we on this podcast. We give grace to Monty. We allow plenty of grace for that whole situation, while also recognizing that he was for sure a huge part of the problem at the same time.
Yeah. So I mean, he's like what, coaching high school now?
I think so. I think they're over 500, so good for him.
Okay.
And like I hope stuff goes well. Tough life and stuff. And I can't even be like that mad because it's the way the Pistons are right now is pretty friggin' awesome. Like they're a good team in a good place. And while last year was an absolute disaster, it makes this year by contrast that much more fun. And it doesn't even seem like they missed a step with that awful year. But I did want to transition because you brought it up. You were living in Detroit, working out in the Palace. You used to work for the Pistons. What was that all about?
Man, so that job it changed my life. What it came from, honestly, was I was unemployed in LA, and it was months away from moving back home or moving back to Chicago. But there's a basketball court across the street from the apartment that I was living in Silver Lake, and I would just go there. It started me and this another buddy of mine, Travis Hellwig, and we would just shoot around. And then it was like, hey, invite a friend, and invite another friend. That friend invites another friend. And all of a sudden we had an email list, and then we were playing pickup there every Saturday. And I always hated networking, but little did I know this game became networking. And the best networking is just when you're just like a nice, chill person, and just in natural conversation, ideas start flowing or whatever. And you find out who's an expert or passionate about one thing. And there was a producer who played in the game. Her name was Betsy Koch, and she worked over at Funny or Die. And Funny or Die is ran by a Michigan guy. And he said they did a partnership with the Pistons to bring in a creative team back in 2015. Just, you know, it was during the boom of like social media and sports. And when they were developing that, they were looking for people to come and work there and like move to Detroit. And so Betsy asked me, like, just for advice, like, oh, we're putting this together. Like, any advice? What do you know about NBA? What do you know about this team? And I put together this like packet because I was like so used to making these late night writing packets that would do nothing and I couldn't get a job. And I made a packet for what I would do if I was over at the Pistons or ideas that they should do. And I got hired within a week and they're like, do you want to move to Detroit? And I was like, yeah, like I was a single dude and I was barely making rent. And I was like, yeah, I'll go to Detroit. And I went there for a year and I was there leading a team of some other really creative people. And we were just making content for what is known as like NBA Twitter now. And it was, you know, we found out because, you know, that was the first year in a while that they had made the playoffs, but they were still just like hovering around like, I think the 6 to 9 seed. And like that, a team like that isn't going to make sports headlines. So you got to like find what these players' stories are, and like their personalities. And Andre Drummond was a monster back then. You know, he was having these 2020 games constantly, and he was also a really fun guy who had dated Jeanette McCurdy and like was silly, but this big giant. And like we were making videos with him, we were making videos with KCP. Tobias Harris got traded there when I was there. Who else was there at the time? Stanley Johnson, who I was a big fan of in college. There was just like a fun roster of players who people like the masses didn't really know about it. And they were just down to make videos that started to catch when Bleacher Report was, you know, their big boom was just like curating that stuff and aggregating fun sports content. And so that's where like people started to see the work that I was making. And then, yeah, I got hired by Bleacher Report, House of Highlights of the NFL after that, and kind of was the reason for my sports media career now.
It's pretty sweet, dude. Very
so cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah. So I always, again, like the Pistons, and here's the thing I'll say about that. People at the Pistons, and I hold no grudge. They were like, what the hell are these guys doing here? Like, who are these big Hollywood? They like thought we were like big Hollywood hotshots. Like, no, I could barely afford my rent, and sports is the only thing I know. And there was like animosity there, but then they slowly, as they saw like the value of making content not about wins and losses, I slowly started to get accepted. But it was a tough year. It was a tough year, but like from the outside, people were like, "Oh, this really cool content's being made," and so yeah.
Yeah, it's like trying to convince your grandpa to get a smartphone.
Yeah, it really did feel like that.
You melted their icy Midwestern hearts. That's impressive.
Yeah.
When you were working there, I wanted to pitch you this idea because it's this idea that I'd written up with my buddy a long time ago. Because Stan Van Gundy was the coach at the time, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And my buddy and I, we used to joke about this, that he would try to teach the Pistons how to shoot free throws like they were holding onto a box of pizza. And everything came on to him just like holding pizzas. And then people just like kept asking about him looking like the pizza guy. He's like, it's not my thing, but he's just forcing this pizza idea. And I mean, granted, I was smoking a lot of weed at the time, and I was like, this is so fucking funny. I got to pitch this idea. I got to pitch this across. And then I watched Stan play basketball, and I was like, I don't think he'd fucking do it. He's pretty good at basketball. Like
that ball handling clip is legendary.
It's insane.
Deep bag.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, you got to look it up. Like it's kind of crazy. Okay, so CJ, you're also like a fashion guy. We talked a little bit about shoes and stuff off channel. You have a big depth into it. You love the history of the NBA. I wanted to ask the All-Star jerseys and the All-Star home court came out. What do you think of these jerseys, man? And what do you think, Mickey?
This is my first time seeing them. They kind of remind me, especially the light blue ones remind me a little bit of the 05 with all 4 Pistons checking in with except it had the stripe. I kind of dig them.
I remember that.
What do you think, CJ?
Yeah.
It's getting better. The last few years I wasn't the biggest fan. This one I like I guess the theme of it all. It doesn't look so random. Um, but I feel like we could fix the placement of the text at the very least. I also love having a number on the front of the jersey. To me, the number is like that. It should have some real estate on the front of the jersey. So, but other than that, it's close. It's close to, and it's much improved from the last seasons, I think.
Yeah, I feel like with a lot of NBA jerseys, with a lot of like these city editions and stuff, there is this emphasis on this minimalist look to too much of an extreme, and I hate it. Like, if you're gonna make special edition jerseys, make them friggin' decorative, make them crazy. And this is a step in that direction, but it's not all the way there yet. I don't hate it, but when it comes to decorative, can we talk a little bit about this court?
That's wild.
That is insane. Playing on a Starry All-Star night, Vincent Van Gogh, I assume, inspired court.
Oh yeah, it's really wild and jarring at first, but I can see it being kind of cool. I know we've been trying to get used to it from all these like in-season tournament courts. But like, so isn't there, go back to the jerseys. That blue jersey is going to get lost.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Against the yellow?
Well, against the blue, like, and it's happened a few times where we've totally like messed up the plot of like home and away, home wears white, team wears, dark. And like there was one time I think the Nets were like wearing gray jerseys or gray uniforms on top of a gray court, and you're just like seeing floating heads. Yeah. And it does hurt. Like, people already were complaining that the ratings are down when it's like when people's eyes are hurting from watching this. We got to help ourselves out a little bit.
Watching the Bulls play in the red uniforms on the red City Edition jersey was freaky. It felt like you were inside an oven, and I don't feel comfortable saying that, but it's what it felt like. It was a rough one.
It was.
But it is All-Star break is approaching. We got a couple games against the Bulls, against your former boys coming up. Really looking forward to those. Hopefully we can get some division wins because we've been lacking as far as the Pistons go. Honestly, adding Dennis is like a huge help because they don't really have a second ball handler, and he's a good point scorer. Yeah. So it'll be nice to see what they can pull off. A lot of us were pulling for a different CJ than the one we've got on this podcast, CJ McCollum. But I think Dennis is a great acquisition, and I think it's going to be pretty good. Some stars got moved in this trade deadline, but not all of them got moved, and not all the ones that we wanted to see. Is that right, Mickey?
It's absolutely right. And so with all these stars moving around, we're seeing a lot of new pairings. So we thought we would play a little game. You've heard of Millionaire Matchmaker, but this is Super Max Matchmaker.
Super Max Matchmaker.
Look at that sting. So the game here is you have to pitch two stars that you always wanted to see team up, and then you give them your couple names. So we're looking at like Benefers, Brangelinas, Trailer Swelsey, which everybody knows is... as we all know, is Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's couple name.
Is that a for real one, or did you make that up?
No, that's real. It's real. Google it.
Okay.
Trailer Swelsey.
I love it.
Can I also just say, you said stars. You're going to be disappointed in my...
No. That's totally fine.
I for sure have one who is not a star on here, but I mean, people could make their arguments. Who knows?
Yeah. So, yeah, star can be loose. CJ, why don't you kick us off? Who's your first star couple?
Okay, we got this is two Lakers, not the most impactful Lakers. Talon Horton-Tucker and Jay Huff Tucker.
Ooh. Huff Tucker. I can see it. And I'm sure there's stars in their circles. It doesn't have to be. Look at that. Look at those guys.
I can't believe we had those guys on our team, and now we have Luka Doncic. Like, it's crazy.
Unfair.
It is unfair.
Hold on. I want to look up this name just to see what it looks like.
I was even thinking you just jam them together even. Huff Tucker.
It's like a riff on Fuddruckers a little
Yeah.
bit. It could be like a chain restaurant. Like we went to Huff Tucker's after the game and had a drink.
These guys also
I
look
love
like
it.
they could be like in a buddy sitcom, like kind of on the like about people who are on the Lakers but don't really play on the Lakers. Although I think they probably both get some PT. But like I'd watch that sitcom all day.
Yeah, this is like New Girl, but on Tubi,
Huff Tucker, now without ads.
I'm tuning in. I love that. That's a great first one. Harry, do you have one to pitch?
Yeah, sure. Let's. I did some stars, so you know what? We'll stick in the star department. In one that I guess everybody knows both these guys, but the first would be he's going to be in a lot of mine is Giannis, because he's so great. And then the second one would be John Morant, and the name for that couple, I'll have to like write it up here real quick. And I think like also these two players could like really play well together if they ever got in a team. I'd love seeing like them play together. But the name, of course, is going to be Giannis. I would just love to be calling him Giannis or Gija for short. It sounds like Gija. It sounds like a kaiju name a little bit, which they both could be. So I'm for it.
That's a scary combo. Giannis. I love that. Feels like a real celebrity couple name too. I could see them in the tabloids.
One of them's got a gun, one of them's got candy, just waving them like an airhead stick around.
Yeah, they're opposite ends of the wholesome spectrum. I like that. I think they complement each other nicely.
All right, Mickey, why don't you give us one here, man?
Well, one player that I've really liked watching this season, just because I feel like he's had to put the entire team on his back, is the young Tyrese Maxey. And since the Sixers don't seem to mind pairing him with aging, injury-prone stars, I thought it would be cool if he played with Kawhi Leonard.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Claw Max.
Oh,
Claw Max. Who knows? Maybe Kawhi plays more than Joel has. Maybe he's the Clipper that they should have traded for instead of PG. But no shade on PG. I know CJ, you come from a very Pacers household, so we won't say a bad word. But Claw Max, I can see it.
That's pretty good. I also had one with Kawhi that was Claw involved, but it was Kawhi and Ant, and it was gonna be called Claw Daddy because Ant's got a couple of kids in there. So
It's great.
I don't know how you feel about it, but give it up. Clawbacks is great, and also that would be an insane pairing.
If he could stay healthy, but yeah, I just feel so bad for Tyrese Maxey. He's doing everything.
He's got a great smile. He's got a great attitude.
He'll be all right.
He's the future of that franchise.
He makes a good amount of money. CJ, you're up next. Who's your next couple?
So I got Precious Achua, and I was more so reverse engineering, to be honest, guys. I guess these guys could play together. Okay, and then we got Bones Highland.
Okay.
It is with it.
None other than they are the duo known as Precious Bones.
I love that.
Damn, that is really good, and that would be such a sick name. I'm gonna start calling my girl that.
Precious Bones.
Precious Bones.
See if she likes it or not.
I feel like it would look really good on a chain, like a necklace.
Yeah.
Precious Bones and the gold cursive,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic. And I feel like I could really see this line up like towards the end of the season if the team is tanking for some reason. You're like, all right, put in Precious Bones.
Yeah.
Harry, back up.
All right, I'm back up. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna bring back another guy because I'm gonna be honest. Like I use a lot of players multiple times, and the ones I was thinking of. And we'll go with stars for this pairing, but it's Ja Morant and LeBron James. But it's actually not so much about the LeBron James pairing. It's more about his son being on the team. Because if that ever did happen, he'd have to be there. We would have to have the jabroni matchup.
Jabroni.
So that's the matchup I'm looking for. Shout out to Bronny. I think he's having kind of a rough time. I saw a stat that he was shooting maybe worse than anybody had been in the league, but no big deal. And I know I spelled his name wrong, but whatever. Jabroni.
I love it.
You got to add a little something to complete it there. I like it.
For sure.
Really good.
All right.
Jabroni. Too good. So, eventually, in theory, LeBron is going to retire. So Luka, my first star, he's going to need a new guy. He's going to need a new dynamic big, someone on the wings. Maybe things don't work out with the Hawks. So I'd say pair him with Jalen Johnson. And then you got a little Miami Vice in LA with Don Johnson.
Oh, snap. I'm not as fast a typer as I'd like to be, but I try.
He's not a star yet, but I really think Jalen Johnson has a lot of potential. He's going to get better, and I think he might be a guy you could trade for eventually down the line.
I really like that one.
Don John.
He's on his way to stardom, I think. Losing him was a huge hit for the Hawks, who then just sold off their team for parts a little bit at this deadline. And I heard that Trae Young is not happy in Atlanta right now, which is friggin' nuts.
Interesting.
I thought he was going to get moved. We've been talking about him being unhappy.
To LA?
Oh, yeah. No, I think we kind of came off Trae, but I was just if Luka's gone, it opens up the floodgates. And it seems like they're preparing to do that with what they're doing over there in Atlanta.
What do you think the best fit for Trae is?
You just mentioned it. I could see him on the Pistons. I don't know.
That's a lot of distribution between
Yeah.
Cade and Trae.
I was going to say the Spurs before De'Aaron Fox.
Right.
But
Yeah, that was the hot one, without a doubt.
You got a destination, Harry?
I don't really, not off the top of the dome. I do want to say this, though. Trae is really friggin' good. He's an awesome player. And I know that, people don't like him, and they make fun of the way he looks. And, I think he was the biggest all-star snub out of all of them. He's leading the league in assists. It did make the all-star game. It's pretty crazy to me. So,
right. And it's not like Melo where he's at the bottom of the league doing it. They're hovering around the play-in tournament, or at least they were. I hadn't thought about this until now. I feel like Trae in would be nasty.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's crazy to think about. Because they really don't have a point
CJ,
guard.
I believe if you have time for a couple more, I think
I
you're up next.
got 5 more minutes.
Sweet.
And I want to get these ones out
Let's
because
get
I
'em in
worked
there.
really hard on this. Here we
Appreciate
go.
that. It shows.
Our guy who just left, we got traded, Dalton Connect, future star, and then we got former star Kevin Love.
God, yeah.
Pretty easy here. We got Love Connect.
Do you want me to add the Shun in there? Do you want it to just be Love Connect?
Oh, Love Connection is great. Yeah.
That's where I thought you were going.
Yeah.
I loved it.
That's pretty good.
See, this was a team effort.
Hey,
I like how you put your player comp in there too.
Exactly. He's on my
Harry,
mind
would you
always.
describe yourself as a little bit of a Dalton Connect as well? Who's your player
Ooh, I
comp?
can see that.
I play defense. Defense was my calling card.
Wow.
So again, no shade to Dalton, but I know that's his thing. Also, I was never that great of a shooter or anything. I think when I was coming up, the player comp I would give myself was Manu, because he was it looked ridiculous when he was driving to the basket and he was kind of lanky and whatnot. So in that era, I'd say Manu would be the comp for me. Because also, as much as I wanted to be a star, I was a six man. We can be honest about it. It's no big deal. Maybe we're saying for Friendos, I was a starter, but not for most.
All right, Harry, you're up.
It's on to me.
What you got?
Okay, so this one's going to take a little bit of liberty as far as pronunciation goes, because I've always had trouble being able to say his name. I'm not, because when I first saw him play, I was like, it's Banchero. It's Paolo Banchero, but it's Banchero? Is that what it is?
I've heard both.
Okay, if it's Banchero, then that works great for me. So we're going to go with Paolo Banchero, and with another great player who has been mentioned, I think, on this. I think he's like one of the best players. He's my all-star or my MVP this year. And I think he's not on my team, but that's all good. I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is like the best player playing right now. I don't think he's necessarily the best all time. I think Jokic probably is as far as like what's going on in the league, but Shai's just insane. He's having an incredible season, and I really want him to win the MVP, so there's that. But I think Paolo Banchero and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, they can be Shayla win.
Fantastic.
Because they would. And also, I think they'd be a hell of a pairing together. Like, Paolo's been everything I thought he was going to be at Duke. And, like, I hate Duke so much. Like, I hate watching them play, but sometimes their players are really something else. And I felt like, even with Chet in the draft that year, that Paolo just looked like one of one NBA-ready players in college at the time. And he's done nothing but break my heart when I watch him play the Pistons. So that's where we're at, Paolo.
Yeah, it's been tough. I got another one lined up. It's a Pacers-centric one. So Hallie is really great. It's kind of a thorn in Pistons fans' sides, especially as of late. But if they're going to make a big push into the playoffs like they have in the past, I feel like he needs a defensive guard in his backcourt with him. So we'll go with Drew Holiday, and we'll have ourselves a little Hallie Day.
Ooh, I like that a lot. Hallie Day. I was looking at Halliburton with somebody else because I was trying to make a Halle Berry one to make the Troy Weaver stands out there super happy, but I couldn't find any berries. I was going to bring back a Brett Berry or John Berry for Pistons fans out there. Pistons legend, John Berry. True great player. Okay. Halle Day. I like that. CJ, I think you said you had one more. Is that right?
Yeah, I got one more. This is a perfect thing because I got to jump after this. But thank you so much for having me, guys.
No problem. Thanks for being here.
Another guy that got moved, Karis LeVert. And then I believe he's on a two-way with the Grizzlies, Yuki Kawamura. Again, 2 stars.
Bro.
And together, they would be called Lil Yuki Vert.
Oh, man, dude. Oh, my God. Now this has to happen.
That would sell T-shirts. That would sell a lot of merch.
You should honestly make this a T-shirt.
Yuki has a following.
Lil Yuki Vert?
And the 8 people who buy it, 8 is actually really generous, but the 8 people who buy it would wear it every day, I feel like.
I would truly buy it. If it was like an NBA Jam collection where it's like those two, instead of Lil Yuki Vert on there, easy sell. Easy sell. Damn, dude, that's a friggin' good one.
Really great.
Is it on me? Is it on me for the...
It's on you, Harry.
Okay. We're going back to again. I didn't go too far outside of the realm of reality here. I went with Giannis again, and this time I went with aforementioned Jokic. And I think they would be a great couple together. One, because they dominate, and also because they'd have a great dominating nickname of one of my favorite meals, Greek yogurt. I would love to see Greek yogurt play together. The Faya fellas.
It's delicious.
Oh, man.
It's nutritious. Wow.
Just studs. Also, just an unstoppable team, if that was ever
unbelievable
together. All right, Mickey, you got the last one, I believe. The last dance for CJ's Bulls fandom.
Okay, I'm going to use Giannis in this one, too. This one's a little bit of a fudge because the second player's not in the league yet, but I do think he's going to make a splash. All eyes on Cooper Flag. Let your freak flag fly, Freak flag.
That's a good one.
Freak flag.
2 G's.
Boom. Freak
there
flag.
It is.
Right there.
Boom.
Pretty damn good. I love it. Did we have any? I'm going to go through just some that I didn't get to at all. But I had Ant Edwards and Tyler Hero for the Antihero because everyone hates both those players anyway.
That's so good.
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm. It'd be great to see. Also, they get into a fist fight about passing the ball a fair share, I think, between those two. I had Cunningham for Cade and Bam if they joined forces. Anything else on here? The last one I had was Shea and Jaylen Brown. That'd be Brown Butter.
Ooh, he is smooth. Mm-hmm. Any honorable mention, CJ?
No. I found 4. I was like, I'm not gonna ruin the magic here by forcing any others.
You picked the best ones.
Lil Uki Vert and Precious Bones are just like so fucking money.
That's a great note to go out on too. Do you want to tell the people where they can find your stuff?
Yeah, just at CJ Toledano under my name. And I always link out to the stuff with Follow Through, the podcast co-captains with my wife Megan Gailey, funny comedian on Whistle Sports, and then some other random stuff you'll see if you follow me.
You guys should really watch Co-Captains. It's great. It's a great perspective. I don't even have kids, and it's about like parenting, being a parent and being like a fan. But like, I totally, I feel it all. You guys were talking on the first episode about like when things happen to players, you're like, oh no, and you feel bad for them. Yeah. Just always feel bad for the kids.
They just built a house, and that house like where I like 9 of the places that I've ever lived in could fit in there, and you like feel bad for this guy. But yeah, it's just.
CJ, it's been great having you on. If you do come to Detroit, let me know. I'll let you know if I come out to the LA area. Mickey, you as well, as you know. And we always leave the show the same way. Oh, before I even forget, I always forget this, but like we got to do. Oh, I've shifted over to the wrong thing here already. But we've got to like and subscribe. Can that pop up? Is that on here somewhere? Yeah, like us, subscribe, follow. We're on Substack now. We're the Blazing Horses on Substack. We write articles. We share stuff. We're on Apple Pods. We're on Spotify. Obviously, we're on YouTube. We're on TikTok. We're on Instagram. We're on Blue Sky. Follow us there at all those places. But Mickey and me, we leave the show the same way every time. And Order the Blazing Horse, OOTBH or OOBH. If you say the acronym aloud, it kind of sounds like what a horse would say. So that's how we leave the show every time. As always, thank you for being here. Order the Blazing Horse.